What's up, y'all? How did we lose Denise? What happened?
Did we lose or did she take herself off? Let me see.
I froze, y'all. My bad. I had to restart the whole thing.
Oh no, that was fast. You were just on.
Yeah, I was like, I touched my camera and it got crazy.
We are here. We are. Happy Tuesday, y'all.
Happy Tuesday. Y'all bear with me, free thinkers. I'm being a very black lady right now.
There you go.
I'm braiding my hair.
We just finished Juneteenth. That's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. In honor of Juneteenth, I'm braiding my own hair.
You can do that
on camera.
You sure can. You know what? Because Q, you have been playing some of the throwbacks on the Tuesdays where we decide to take parent summer mental health Tuesday night sometimes. So you've been playing the throwbacks, and oftentimes I've noticed I would introduce with the date, but I didn't say the year. So I think from now on, I'll start saying the date and the year because I'm like, I think that was from last year, and then I'm like, damn, that was from 2021. I was like, whoa. So today is June 23rd, right? It's June 23rd?
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. 2026, y'all.
June 23rd, 2026. And every June we say, oh, it's half of the year already. I can't believe half of the year. And here we are again. Half of 2026 is already behind us.
Yeah, I think the year is very important looking back on a lot of these episodes because the context of some of the things we say will change year to year. So if you're watching us say one thing, especially about something political, and then you thinking is when this could be, I don't know, 2021 versus, what we're saying and thinking in 2025, very different things. See, there go my product on my screen. But yeah, very, very different things. Very different things.
At that point, interestingly enough, I was at one of my clients' house today. She's an 85-year-old woman. I saw a different side of her today than I've seen since I've been dealing with her. But she was watching the news, Fox News, and she was watching The View, and there were so many conversations between those two channels, I believe, of people who were corresponding, talking about basically like buyer's remorse for having. And they talk specifically about Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene, about how now they've become so outspoken against him. And so there was one of the ladies, and again, I'm just overhearing this on this lady's TV, and there was one of the women, I think maybe it was Sunny, and she basically said what I was thinking in my head, like, oh, y'all gotta own that, right? You don't get to have buyer's remorse. You supported whatever you supported, whenever you supported it, knowing what you knew.
No, I disagree with that.
Huh?
Well, this is split though. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't want to hear from her. I don't want to hear people like Alma Rose. Don't tell me how bad a person is once you get fired or once you fall out with them.
Hello. Don't want to hear it.
Somebody like Tucker Carlson, who's just a reporter, a news person, and he's like, yeah, this ain't what I thought it was. You can have buyer's remorse, but I'm not okay with people who were once in that person's pocket, and now since they're no longer in that pocket, now they want to try to start blowing whistles.
There we go.
Hear that? That's the difference.
Even talking about a little bit in their pocket. These people got aroused by the thought of this person running the country, right? Like, and at the expense of a whole bunch of people, right? So interestingly enough, talking about how like perspectives may change, I was like, man, that'd be interesting, to go back and listen to some of these 5, 10, 15 years later.
About that, yeah. Going over some of our older shows and then being like, okay, pause.
Do I still agree?
That way?
Right.
Do you still hold that same thought? And I thought of that because it was something that it was an old show that me and Nikki was, it was just me and her on there. And we had a conversation, and then I was like, you know what? I changed my mind. I think
you did talk about that. I don't remember what it's about, but you did talk about that.
It was one of those scenarios. I think it was a scenario about the other woman being allowed to come to the funeral or something like that.
That's right.
And I changed my mind. I'm like, yeah, she right.
right. That's right. That's right. That's right. I love that. But yeah, 2026. Here we are. Here we are. Here we are. We have the last Tuesday is next week. So of course, if you are here in the Austin, Central Texas area, 512 area, and you want to come do this in person, we have no live streaming. We have no recordings. You know, sometimes people snap pictures here and there, but generally it is a free-for-all conversation where the only people that know how you feel are the people that were involved in the conversation. So if you're interested in meeting us ever on the last Tuesday, we meet in person the last Tuesday every single month. Weather, of course, contingent. Generally, we are at Dirty Glove Midwest Barbecue at the Pavilion over off of Howard Lane. All the details, of course, are on the Facebook page, on the Instagram page, on the YouTube channel. I'll put a post up there as well. Brent, actually, him and his wife just had their baby, yes, on Monday. So she is a little bit early. So I don't know
Congrats.
Absolutely congratulations. Absolutely congratulations. But just depending on what's happening with the family, Tuesday maybe location to be determined. So we will have a Tuesday right now. I just haven't confirmed where it's going to be yet. But obviously follow the Facebook page and there will always be updates about where we're meeting. It's always going to be the same time. But that is next Tuesday. So that means we will not be on here live. We can always, of course, throw on a throwback. But we will be in person next Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, we should totally put throwbacks on days that we're not live. That's such a good point. For sure.
I totally, and I never know what Q picks because a lot of times you won't put the title in it. So it's just an old video. And I was like, which one did he pick? And it's always a good one. I was like, damn, that was a great conversation.
Good, yeah.
You watch long enough and you see all the different faces of people who join in, and it's like 7, 8, 9 people in the conversation, people that you haven't seen in years sometimes. The throwbacks are great conversations. More announcements. You know, I hate to make announcements, right? But another fellow Freethinker family member, Trey, who is somebody that you see more on the Facebook page than on the live. Years ago, probably did more than more recent, but had a medical scare last week. Pretty serious medical scare last week. And so Tuesday nights at Seaboys in Austin, downtown Austin, they do a big, huge thing every night, every Tuesday from like 9 to midnight or 1. And so he's going to be down there tonight, celebrating life.
Yes. Yes.
I think he got on the hospital Wednesday, Thursday. No. He went into the hospital after they performed last Tuesday, like immediately after they performed Tuesday. And he got out, I think, before Father's Day. I'm sorry. So ready to go and celebrate life with people. And if you are here in town, probably going to see Boys after the show tonight. So if you know me, hit me up if you want to go. That's where we're probably going to be going to. Because this is a real deal for a lot of us. Like, I had no intention of feeling some type of way, but when shit happens to your friends, you should act. You should value waking up that much more. So meet us down there. And then if you can't meet us down there, come meet us Tuesday and enjoy some life with us in person. And we got a great conversation for tonight. Shit. I don't know. Denise said she's got a story behind why she chose discernment. So I'll be looking forward to hearing what that breakdown is. I did not look up the definition though, so I won't. I'll save it.
You know, I don't think I know the actual definition either. As much as it's very much a church word.
I didn't want to look it up. That's why.
But like, if you ask me what's the actual definition of it, I'm not sure.
I couldn't tell you either. I couldn't tell you either the actual definition.
Yeah, I'm interested if my guesses lines up with the actual definition.
That is so interesting to me. Okay, I'm super curious because I was like, damn, I wonder if my experience of this word is going to be different than y'all's experience of this word.
Right. Okay. That's okay. Okay. Well, Denise, where you at? I'm ready to.
I'm here. My bad, y'all. I got a whole bunch going on. Let me turn my brightness up. Here we go. That might help a little bit. There we go. That's better. Okay. So Q was on last week. He went on a solo mission. And I caught kind of like halfway in. I was halfway, I was trying to support, even though I had a lot going on. So when I tapped in, Q was mentioning, he was going over some things. I think it was a video. It was a person who does kind of like relationship content. Some people may describe this as red pill content. And so if you are not familiar with red pill content, a lot of red pill content is very, I'm trying to describe it in a way that's neutral. It's very much about, it favors men, but in a way that I think sometimes takes accountability off of men, and it skews the identity of the majority of women, and it presents as if women, like most women, are gold diggers. Most women are not thoughtful when it comes to their men. Most women are users. That's typically how they describe it. Or like, if you want to get a woman to do something, they typically advise you to manipulate, or they typically when they speak to issues as it pertains to women and men, it doesn't seem to approach things from all sides. It's very like blaming one side, blaming women for why things don't go right, or blaming women for why men decide to do the things that they do. And so it's just very like, it's divisive content. It's the same thing of, if you're a woman and you watch Sprinkle Sprinkle, it's like the man version of Sprinkle Sprinkle. So for people who are not familiar with Sprinkle Sprinkle, she advises women on how to like get money out of men, and how to like manipulate men, and how to talk to them to just kind of like get whatever you want. So there are two sides of the internet that are speaking directly to the other side, but most people are not one or the other. If that makes sense, what I'm saying.
Right.
Sorry, that was a very long explanation. All that to say, Q was speaking to a video from a person who does that kind of content. And one thing that Q said that I thought was so brilliant, that most people don't talk about when they speak about people who watch particular content, is that you need to have discernment when you are choosing to watch people, podcasts, listen to certain music, take advice from people. You have to have discernment. And so I'm not going to give away the whole idea right now, but I just kind of want to leave it at that. And that made me just think about like how we use discernment. What does it really mean? How can we use it in our relationships, in our platonic relationships, at work, in all areas of life, politically? How can we use our discernment to benefit us? How can we tap into discernment? Does everybody have discernment? Is that something that some people are blessed with more of than others? Is it something that we can all attain? Like, what does it all mean to even have discernment? So I guess what I want to first start off is like, how would you all describe the term discernment?
Man, I was trying to write these questions down that you were saying.
And going.
My bad,
that's a good one. Does everybody have it? What is so? If I was to describe discernment, it's very similar to, but not exactly what a lot of people talking about. A lot of people use the term energy, reading energy, feeling energy.
That's good. Yeah.
That is that's very in close relation to discernment. And those are elements. When you read energy, that is an element of discernment. But it's almost, or some people would almost talk about sixth sense also too. That's something that kind of falls in that thing. But it's getting it's like a feeling, but it's beyond a feeling. But that, I guess that's the closest word that I can think of
I take mine.
about a person, place, thing, or situation. And it's something that and the reason it's tough for me to come up with words, because a lot of times when it comes to the sermons, it's not exactly something that you can describe with words. So even if you have a feeling about something, if I be like, something up with Ivory, I'm not sure about that. Well, what is it? And somebody say, well, what is it? I don't know. It's nothing that I can actually put in words, but there's something that doesn't sit right with me about her that causes me to be cautious, causes me not to go in depth in a relationship with her, causes me not to partner with her in business. It is a feeling that necessarily you cannot put words to or describe, but it's not necessarily what people will call the Holy Spirit, but the Holy Spirit is one thing that gives you discernment. If we talk about different fruits of the Spirit, biblically speaking, is that one of the? No, that's not a fruit. That is a
is it a gift?
Of the Spirit. It's a gift of the Spirit. Yeah, not a fruit, a gift of the Spirit. So it's one of those things. So I kind of describe things around it without giving it an actual definition, because it's really hard for me to define now. Ivory may come back and define it in 15 words like a lot of people do, but that's the best way. I think that's the best way right now I can describe it. Nikki?
I'll go real simple, because for me, discernment is like intuition, but really, really serious, right? Like it's intuition, but like with discipline. It's intuition with a fucking right? It's the intuition that. So then to answer Denise's question, can we obtain it? Do we acquire it? Where does it come from? I think that discernment. I think that intuition could be a dangerous word for some people, because that might indicate that you can't obtain it. But I think with wisdom, you can. I think with wisdom, experiences and knowledge and information, it changes your outcome. So it may change the frequency from in which you know what I'm saying, you operate out of it. Or your intuition changes, your discernment changes, your parameters change. So for me, discernment is intuition.
Ooh, can I add to that, Nikki, really quick for Ivory or Denise jump in? Because I like intuition is a good one, but I would add, for me, I ain't speaking for Nikki, but intuition that comes from a higher power. So a lot of things that you feel,
I don't agree, but go ahead.
Right. So a lot of things that you may feel, a lot of things comes from people's own personal experience or things that they went through, or maybe past trauma or personal experiences or whatever. Discernment doesn't have to come from any of those things. Really, it doesn't come from those things. Oftentimes you get a feeling that even goes outside what you yourself would naturally feel. And it's like, I don't feel like I kind of on the surface, I like this person, but there's something else that's telling me that, and not even say it, and it could be so acute, even with so it could be like, yeah, they are a good person, but they're not a good person for you. You're like, damn, where did that come from? Or they're a good person, but this is not the time for you to be in a relationship with a person like that. You'd be like, dang, where that, and it like I said, it doesn't even have to be something that you yourself feel, but it can come from somewhere else. Anyway, Denise, Ivory, y'all can jump in.
Well, just really quickly, because for me, it's just different, right? Because discernment, you don't pass it up. Discernment is not going to let you let it go, right? Discernment is like, you have to. This is what you have to do. Intuition, I can tap into. I might know this dude is no good for me. My intuition tells me this motherfucker is no good for me. But discernment's going to know he's no good, and it's going to have me keep on moving and walking. And like, this is not even an option. Like, no, absolutely not. Right. So there's, it's almost like the discernment is, like I said, the disciplinary action, right? To the sensing of, the intuition, the feelings of, the why do I get the spidey tinglies, whatever, the energy, whatever. Like, discernment means you got to do something about it, I feel like.
Okay, I disagree with that part. We ain't gonna get into the conversation before we let Ivory and Denise jump in. One of y'all tell us how do you define it?
I want to disagree with Nikki too, but I feel like we need to wait until we get we got to get our definitions in because there's some good stuff being said. But I'm like, we're gonna go too off into a tangent. Discernment. Oh my God, the way that y'all been like describing it has been so good. Like intuition with discipline. Like that is such a great way to describe discernment. Even just using the term intuition is such a good way to describe discernment. Intuition that comes from a higher power is something that Q said. That was an interesting way to define it. Or it, like you said, energy. For me, discernment is definitely all those things, but it's just like a feeling. And it's a feeling. We've kind of tapped into this a little bit when we were talking about spirituality, but it's a feeling that I get in a certain place in my body. And it feels like almost like a sense of urgency behind it. Like when Nikki says, it's like you feel like there needs to be some action behind this idea or this thought or this feeling. You feel like whether you take the action or not, but you feel like there might need to be some action. And it almost feels like when you don't take action, the feeling gets stronger until it gets duller and you don't feel it.
Oh yes, that is.
You know what I mean?
That's good.
And then you fucked up.
And then you go, damn it, I had a feeling. But anyways, Ivory, how would you describe discernment?
It's funny. It was like a whole kid fight happening right when I was going to talk. I'm like, how's that long? That's going to go. Man, my head was going 10 different places while y'all was talking. But okay. So there's definitely a spiritual aspect for me in discernment. But let me say this: how I apply discernment in my life personally. Any the D is it DI discernment, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always thinking about, like, for me, it's like dividing all of the things that I have learned in life through experiences, through the word of God, through the things God has said to me. All of these things, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be a little deep, is creating a subconscious effect that allows me to have a feeling without the thoughts being at the top of my mind.
That's really good.
So all of those things coming together, along with my spiritual experiences coming together, allows me to get a feeling where I don't have to take as much time to process through every experience, every scripture, every encounter, whatever. Like I am able, my subconscious is able to divide all those things up and give me a feeling that lets me know, this isn't about to be good.
Ooh,
This person's about to come for you.
Ivory.
Or this. So for me, that's the feeling.
But let me challenge your definition for a second.
Okay.
Because that was very good. Have you ever had that discernment without actually having any experience? Because you talked about kind of a collection of experiences that gives you a feeling that allows you to kind of I forgot exactly how you said it, come to a conclusion or I bet
divide all those things up in the back.
Right. But have you ever
received
that discernment without ever having the experiences that help you lead up to it? See, I'm saying
this is my challenge to you is I think we don't understand the vastness of our own brains. What's happening in the background. We're constantly processing data from facial expressions, from the things we're experiencing, from spiritual things we're experiencing, from things in the air. Your brain is constant processing data that you're not even conscious of.
I like that too.
So
Let me give
maybe
you
you
kind of
don't
example.
think on the top end, well, I haven't encountered this before. It doesn't mean that your brain does not have a data set for it just because you haven't consciously processed it.
That's good.
Let me ask you
Ooh.
this, Ivory, because like, okay, so me being in church all these years and doing everything inside, outside church, this and this and that, I have a certain discernment based off of my experiences when I deal with certain people. But there were times when I was much younger, maybe 10, 11, 12 years old, before I had any of those experiences. But I still be looking, I could just look at certain people like, something ain't right about that nigga right there. I ain't feel like I could have that feeling or discernment without ever having the experience behind
You
it.
don't you don't know the conversations you had with the angels before you got here.
Okay, well then you go, yeah, if you go there, okay, that's what I'm saying without the
I'm just
tangible
saying
natural.
there's
Right,
things locked inside of our brains that
right.
we don't understand.
So then that goes back to it comes from a higher power, in my opinion, because now you are tapped into, now you fully tapped into
But
the
look, forget the angels. I'm saying even at 10, right? There are things happening around you that your 10-year-old brain did not fully understand on a conscious end,
Right.
but your subconscious is
right.
still processing that data.
And now we
Right.
into the matrix where you tapped
Yeah.
into the source, even without. That's how Neo knew that there was more to the life that he was in, even though hadn't
He'd never seen
consciously
Zion. He'd
experienced
never,
it.
yeah,
Right.
but your subconscious is picking up, his subconscious is picking up these glitches and picking up this stuff that his
Okay.
conscious
Yeah.
brain
Now. Yeah.
hasn't processed yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I agree with
And,
that.
I would say too that there are some things that we are taught that we may not be aware of that we were being taught that help us to maybe protect ourselves or have an awareness about certain things. Because there's so many things that I look back on that my grandma would show me in this very interesting way that just seemed like a simple, like her asking me a question about something, but really she was teaching me something and I did not even recognize that that's what was going on until my adulthood, like in my 30s. Like, oh, my grandma was trying to teach me this when she did that. She was teaching me this when she did that, but I didn't recognize that that's what that was. And sometimes our parents, grandparents, they impart wisdom into us in that way that we don't even recognize that that's what's happening. They're just simplifying it.
And let me say this too, and you have to, and not that it's discernment, because this can be tricky too about uh discernment and just reactions, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like this book I read, The Body Keeps Count. Your body has a muscle memory for things that you might not even be conscious of.
Mm.
So sometimes we confuse discernment with our body remembering something that doesn't feel good to us.
Oh.
It could have happened when you were 2, 3, 4, 7.
Right.
But your body has a muscle memory that says, somebody made a face like that to me before. Something about that. My
Yeah.
body doesn't feel good about that look.
Yeah.
Because your body remembers what your brain doesn't remember all the time too. So sometimes we have to be careful because it could feel like a really strong, overwhelming feeling in our body, but our body remembers things that our brain doesn't remember sometimes. So anyway.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Okay, so back to discernment, right? How do you determine in this case, right, where you're saying my body's remembering versus whatever I think discernment is? How, you know what I mean? How do we determine the difference between discernment and trauma? Like, oh, I
Um.
had a bad feeling, but it's like, no, you're just unhealed from what Jimmy did, and now you projecting that on. Like, how does one know the difference between projecting old trauma and discernment? How do you decipher those two things?
I know mine. I know mine, but I'll let somebody else go.
I literally don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Well, I say for me, when it comes to discernment, it's a
So,
much more objective thing. it's not something, and it's nothing that I directly point to. I don't point to something that happened in a previous relationship or past childhood. It is, like you said, it's a feeling, or it's an energy, but it's an objective thing. It's not something that I'm even referring to something in my past. It's just like, it's one
But
of
how do
those
you
things that
identify that? How do you identify that you're not referring to something in your past? Like, how do you identify that this is objective and not projection of some old whatever?
So if I am, what I'm saying is, if I am, then it's not a conscious thing. It's not something to be like, oh, you see the way she walked. My ex-girlfriend used to walk like that. I know she ain't no good. Those type of things.
Right.
People like, and they try to say, yeah, some told me they wouldn't, right? No, they just reminded you of your ex, and now you feeling some type of way because you and your feelings. And what I'm saying is, it doesn't have anything to do with what you feel or your past triggers from previous experiences that you are conscious of. It's just something where you get an energy and you like, okay, where did that come from?
But what a person who doesn't have awareness, how do they decipher this is in a past trigger versus, because then if they end up being right? If this person's end up doing them dirty.
Well, okay, let's go. First of all,
how do you?
Okay, first of all, let me say this to a person that you're describing of. Can you identify your triggers? Number one, do you have a lot of triggers, and can you easily identify your triggers? I know what my triggers are. So I know when I'm I know what almost all of my triggers are, and I know when I'm being triggered. But for people who have a lot of triggers and they don't even recognize it, then yeah, it'll be real hard for you to, decipher the difference.
That's really good. Can you identify your triggers? So the first way to decide whether what you're feeling is your discernment versus some old past trauma or projection is, one, identify what is your trauma. What are your triggers?
That only applies for someone who subscribes to my definition. If you got a different definition, then that wouldn't even apply.
Do we think, okay, so based on everybody's definition of discernment, do we think in terms of identifying what's discernment versus a trigger or trauma, do we think that is a good identifier by first identifying what your trauma or trigger is to identify if this is your discernment speaking to you or trauma speaking to you? Would that fit your definition?
Well, for me.
And I'm sorry, go ahead, Nikki.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I would just add, I think it's good to know your triggers, traumas too. But for me, with discernment, what I've learned over the years, because I don't think there's anything wrong with me gleaning information from past hurts or whatever to make decisions about who I'm going to be around and spend. I don't think that's bad either. I just don't think it's discernment, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, that's how we survive as humans, is we use our past experiences to say what's dangerous, what's not dangerous. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I just don't think it's discernment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. 100%. I think that it's not a bad thing, but I think that it's one of those situations where it's like, but within reason.
Within reason. Well, this is what I was going to say about discernment, though. Is discernment for me, where I can tell the difference is because of my judgment of this person. So if I'm truly discerning something, it's not a judgment of you're trash or you're unworthy or you're unlovable or you're whatever. I'm truly just discerning something about this situation or you. And to Quinn's point, it's a little bit more objective. Less to do about me or how it affects me. More big picture of how it's affecting the situation, how it's affecting you in your life. All of these is just a different kind of feel for me than me just using my past experiences to say, my past experiences is telling me you might not be right for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. But
yeah, so it's kind of what Q was saying earlier, which is objective. It's not how I personally feel. I might even think this person's cool. I might like them. I might think they're great. I might think I'm tripping for recognizing my discernment telling me no.
Because it's or for me, I will give a real life example. I was somewhere, I mean, not say too many details, but I was somewhere and a person got upset with me for just kind of being myself, which can happen. I mean, I'm myself. And but I discerned, this was more discernment in the moment, that they were in a lot of pain and they were about to lash out at me somewhere in the next hour or two because they were in a lot of pain. That was discernment. I knew it. I could feel it coming. I had a choice to make. I'm like, I could go disappear. I could stay around and let them get it out. But it was more objective. It wasn't like, oh, they one of them people who like to tell people off and did it. No, I was having a discernment moment. And in my discernment, because it was discernment and it wasn't about me, I said, man, I'm finna let her get this out on me. She in a lot of pain and she'll feel better once she has it out. And I'm not gonna fight back.
Okay. Hold on a second.
I'm just saying, I was having I had a discernment moment. It wasn't personal.
And
Like,
had
it
you not
wasn't
tapped
really about
into it,
me.
then that would have went a whole different way.
If it was personal, you
Right.
would have got it.
Right.
Because I got some for you. But it wasn't personal. It wasn't about me. Her pain wasn't about me.
But I'm saying
Nothing
also
about it was
had
about
that
me.
discernment not have kicked in and her lashing out at
Oh,
you,
she
got
would
you
have
off
got
guard.
it.
Right.
She would have
It
got
would have went a
it.
different way.
The level
I
of
mean,
And that's
in the
what I'm saying.
maturity.
niceest
Discernment can
way
also
ever,
prepare you
but
for
you still would
things.
have got it.
So
Yeah.
dang, that's a good one. It almost it guides you steps ahead in certain instances to prepare you, to help you give a different or a better response than what you
Yeah.
actually about to give.
Yeah.
Yo, I had to see this just took me down a rabbit hole. Like there's so many, like my brain just said,
And you know that happens to me often too. Like even there, goodness, especially like dealing with free thinkers, even going back to meeting other minds, probably more so with meeting other minds because you had all these hardy people. You know how poets and people are. And it's a lot of times where I sensed things before it actually happened, and it helped me deal with the person with my heart versus with my emotion or my initial reaction. Like I already, like Ivory said, I could feel this thing about to go a certain direction. So it prepared me for it. And I knew the times where you see me pop off is times where I wasn't prepared for it. And sometimes when you see things pop off and you be like, man, Q ain't even blow up. Is my discernment had already kicked in and I could see this about to come down the line.
Mm-hmm.
okay. So this was a lot, right? And I want us to get back on track, but
Okay, sorry,
but I have to go here.
Well, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, Nikki, you've been sitting here for a second. I've really been waiting to see what Nikki's saying. Nikki keep acting like she gonna say something, and then she's like,
No, I'm just listening. I'm just listening to y'all talk about it, and I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm listening. I'm just listening.
okay, I got you.
Okay, there's levels, right? We're talking about, for those who just tuned in, we're talking about discernment. We're talking about how to recognize it. We're talking about how to use it. So, what Ivory just explained to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that your discernment allowed you to basically proactively prep yourself for someone else's crash out. And because you got the download that was like, hey, they're in pain and they need to release this, you felt like you were equipped to allow someone to lash out on you, but you did not receive the pain or the negativity because you were already equipped with information.
Right.
Mm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question.
Okay.
do you think the download for this information was specifically for you to help them? Not just help you like, hey, you need to know this information because it's about to go down. Because you chose to let them release their pain. You could have also chose to stop them in their tracks, not crash out on them either, but just say, hold on, we're not going to do this. But you chose to let them release. Why?
That was part of the discernment. The part of the discernment was they need to be able to release it without a fight.
Mhm.
Ooh, this gives me chills. Woo!
Now I'm saying, anybody who know me know I'm down for a civilized fight all the time. So that's not. I've never ran from a fight. I don't have no problem having civilized fights. Listen, let me civilize. I'm okay for a civilized fight. So that's not the problem. But yes, the discernment was this person needs to have a mini crash out. And when I say a mini crash out, I'm never letting nobody scream or curse or nothing like that at me. That's not what I
for
mean.
sure. Right, yeah.
But attack me, yes. And that they need to be able to do it without me becoming defensive or fighting back.
Oh gosh.
And at the end of the crash out, she hugged me. Said she was happy she met me. That's not how she felt before the crash out.
Yo, okay, this is too much. I'm sorry. Okay, listeners, you know what it just came to me? Can your ego dull or kill your discernment?
Your ego can override your ego can override your discernment
for sure.
And let me tell you what the biggest thing that what you say kills your discernment.
Kill or dull.
Dull it. You know, you
Kill
said
or
it.
dull.
You said it next to perfectly, Denise. You said that feeling to come and it'll get heightened and it'll compel you to do something. And if you don't do something, it'll fade back. What kills or dulls your discernment is you not learning how to tap into that frequency of your discernment. You can teach yourself to overlook it or not listen to it so much that you lose your own ear to hear.
Okay, I'm about to get real spiritual.
Let me go a step further. There's so many people who really have strong discernment, but they've taught themselves or they've allowed other people to teach them not to trust their own discernment. If you listen to yourself or other people long enough, you will doubt yourself to the point you don't hear it anymore. Now, let me go a little step further and then jump in. All right. How you gain discernment? Because most of the time, in most cases, people doubt themselves a lot of times. You doubt what you're hearing. But how many times has discernment told you something? It gave you a forewarning, a forethought. It kind of showed you the next steps that were coming. And you didn't listen to yourself and you didn't listen to your discernment. And then the same stuff happened. And you'd be like, God dang it, I knew it. Those are the cues for you to start listening and trusting yourself.
Period.
And that's what happened for me. It was only after 5, 6, 7 times where I saw something before it happened, but I didn't trust myself. I didn't say something. I didn't say something to that person. I didn't move away from this person, whatever the case was. And then that which I saw end up happening. Okay, after 6 or 7 times, I'm like, all right, Q, you see it. Stop doubting yourself and start trusting your discernment. I still have issues with that, but yeah. But go ahead, Denise. I'm sorry.
This is just so good right now because then what came to me too was like, what if discernment and many other gifts are like the five senses, like, you know what I mean? It's something that by nature, it's a part of us. And then, like you said, you either are taught to not listen to it, dull it, kill it, or people around you do. Like, for instance, like if you have a gift, I feel like if you have a gift of prophecy, like it probably starts as discernment, some elements of that.
Right.
And discernment might even be affected by what we eat for all we know. We don't know how the chemicals in our body affect how we're processing, downloading information,
How much sleep we get.
how much sleep we get. And all of that is a part of our ability to discern. Anyway, Nikki, what's on your mind?
Yeah, we're not saying nothing else until you speak.
No.
We're gonna sit here in silence until we hear.
Not talking till you say something. You know, I'm just, like I said, I'm just listening, right? And I'm just trying to see where my thoughts apply, and you know, situations, and you know, just scenarios, experiences with using discernment. And I don't disagree. I don't disagree with, you know, I think what each person's personal feeling with what discernment feels like to them. I don't, you know, that's, I don't, on one hand, I could say it's not anybody's right to tell another person what is or isn't discernment to them. However, then when you do look up the definition, it's like, well, there's a pretty defined definition, right? So then it gets pretty, then you get to stretch the word a lot, because then you get to take, you know, you get to interpersonalize those experiences or those thoughts or those feelings. But, you know, discernment, I understand that for a lot of times when people come from a biblical space, discernment is kind of like something that is given into you, right? And that's supposed to also help guide you on the path with decisions and people, places, and things, and so on and so forth. So I don't disagree with what the value of discernment is. I certainly don't think that that's the only way that it happens, or it's the only value to what discernment is. I think discernment is just human's own compass, human's own safe compass, you know? And it's just a matter of whether we fucking listen or not. And if we don't, it's like this. It's like my dad told me growing up: you keep touching fire, you're going to keep getting burned. You eventually stop touching fire. Guess what? You stop getting burned. So discernment is the same thing. I know if I walk into a fire, that shit's going to burn me up. At some point, I'm going to not do that, right? But discernment to me is also something that is very powerful. Discernment to me, again, does require discipline. I think that's where the difference is. We can know a whole lot of shit, but if we're not going to mind what the compass, what direction the compass is trying to steer us, if we're not going to mind it, then your discernment is weak. You don't have good discernment.
Because is it discernment or wisdom?
You identified it and you thought that you were bigger than. You identified it and you thought that you could, you know, beat it this time. You identified it, but you thought you were better than it. You know, whatever the case may be, right? So discernment, if you have the discernment, you're generally going to stick to what direction the compass is telling you you're supposed to go, because that's what discernment is. And it's the trusting of that feeling that says, I'm gonna fucking do it then. Whichever direction the compass says I'm going, that's what we're doing. But
I think that's wisdom you're describing. I think discernment, and I think it can go hand in hand, but just because you discern something and you choose to do something else doesn't mean that you didn't discern it. You just made a bad choice. It's like having knowledge but not wisdom on how to use it.
If you're making a bad choice with discernment, you're not utilizing your discernment is not proper, right? It's off kilter, because the purpose of discernment is to make good decisions, to be a good judge of character. And if
let me ask you this though, Nikki.
Huh?
Let me ask you this. Say we are a circle of counsel, and all three of you give me good, sound wise counsel and I still decide to do my own thing, does that mean that I have bad counsel? No, that just means I chose not to listen to my counsel.
It has nothing to do with your discernment. You just got counsel from other people. I don't know what
It's relevant to the point that
I don't
Denise
know
was
what
making.
before you sought counsel. I have no idea what your thought process was before you sought counsel.
But the point Denise was making is just because you don't listen to the discernment that you hear doesn't mean that the discernment wasn't there.
No,
discernment does not require application. I guess that's another way to say it.
There. You failed in not listening to that discernment. Absolutely agree.
Okay, but that doesn't take away from the discernment, though. I think that's what Denise was saying.
But, so to me, that's why discernment is more valuable than just thinking about a decision being positive or negative, depending on which direction I go. Right? Discernment is we're fucking moving in that direction.
So you think action has to be tied into that which you discern?
I don't know if it has to be, but I feel like it's a pretty strong companion. I feel like it almost has to be. I think that's for me what gives discernment its power. Otherwise, I'm just judging things based off experience or feeling. Or discernment to me, for me, is way stronger than just a feeling. Discernment is this what we doing? This is it. The body's compass is saying this is what's happening.
I do like that term when you talk about the bodies or the compass. I do like that. It
makes sense because the compass gives you direction. And even if I don't know which direction I'm going, I'm gonna fucking follow the compass because the compass is usually not wrong on our earth that we live in. But there are some places where poles are weird. Some shit could happen, right? But for me, that's just how I don't know. Compass makes sense because it gives direction, and discretion gives direction.
I understand what you're saying. I disagree with the element that for it to be true discernment, there has to be action attached to it.
Yeah, that's the part where I disagree. I think for you to get the most out of your discernment, you better put some action behind it. You better get active because, like you said, how many times you got to burn yourself before you realize, all right, maybe I need to start touching this.
Question. Does discernment, does every situation of discernment require there to be an action associated with it?
Yes. Even if it's not doing something.
What you saying to hey, discernment telling you to be still, don't move. I say that.
Still in action.
I mean, if you put it that way, Denise, but I kind of agree. Like, no, there doesn't have to be an action. So sometimes it could just be,
So can I read the definition of?
Yes, that's what I was gonna ask too. Had anybody actually looked at the definition? And when Nikki went ahead and peeked.
You know, she told us. She told us in her explanation.
I was about to, but yeah, I was like, okay, hold on, let me.
Some point,
hold on. Time out. So, Nikki, did you give us those the last thoughts that you gave? Was that post reading the definition or pre reading the definition?
No.
Okay.
That was just me literally trying to listen to all the different scenarios and try to figure out how do I follow this, right? Because I don't know. Because again, to me, discernment is just it's strong. Discernment is not a word that you play with. To me, right? And I don't know. That's different than I don't know because I don't know. So the definition of discernment. The definition of discernment. The first one is the ability to judge well. Similar judgment, taste, discrimination, refinement. The second definition in Christian context, perception in the absence of judgment with a view to obtaining spiritual guidance and understanding.
Hold on, read that again.
In Christian context, perception in the absence of judgment with a view to obtaining spiritual guidance and understanding.
I don't like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's kind of what you described, Q. That's kind of what you described. You were like,
yeah.
It's not that I disagree with it, but I think it's it only speaking to one angle. I mean, it's not encompassing enough to me, but that's all right.
Perception in the absence of judgment with a view. So, I mean, it's the same thing as the previous, the ability to judge well. This is just judging, I think, with obviously the context of, let's say, the word, right? Which is written, or how is written, right? So the ability to follow what's written without asking questions, the ability to follow what's written without, having to read more to see what happens later. Like, nah, we're just gonna go because it's what they said do, right?
Okay, so let me see, because I guess this is the Google AI. When I looked, it has it's slightly different. It says discernment is the mental and spiritual ability to perceive, understand, and evaluate situations clearly. It involves cutting through surface level details, biases, and complexities to distinguish truth from falsehood, good from bad, and what is essential from what is merely a distraction.
I'm
I
not
like
mad
that a
at
little
that.
better. All of these are still kind of the definitions are limited.
They
Well, I
are.
guess I should expect it to be, because I don't think words itself can give a full definition, but that's fine.
This one says the quality of being able to grasp and comprehend what is obscure, skill in discerning.
What does obscure mean?
Let's see.
Yeah, that's vague, right?
Vague, not concrete.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Not readily understood, not clearly expressed, relatively unknown.
How can I want to come up with different okay, going back to our original the reason why we started this in the first place. If you just tuned in, we're talking about discernment and the many ways to recognize it, how to use it, etc. You mentioned Q. This is how we got this whole subject, is when Q was talking about what podcast you're listening to and like where you're getting your advice. Like, what are some things that a person can ask themselves to help them, I guess, discern whether this is a good source of information? Anybody want to? Because there are questions that you are asking, whether this is subconscious or conscious. There are these questions that are happening in your brain that are allowing you to go, yes, no, north, south, east, west. You know what I mean? There's some sort of process that must be happening mentally.
I can't think of every single thing, but I know one thing when I'm listening always is, what's the purpose of the information?
Ooh. Come on, somebody.
And this is an easy one, right? If the purpose is to manipulate people, if the purpose is to see how much you can get out of people, then that's instant discernment that doesn't align with what I'm centered in.
Right.
And so it could be wonderful information, but I don't want to learn how to manipulate people. So
Right, exactly.
I'm not gonna listen.
That's good.
Yeah.
And I fluctuate too with tainted information. Sometimes I believe information just it's either true or false, it's either right or wrong, whatever. But then there's other times where I'm more of the chef who prepared the meal does make a difference to me.
Right.
Yeah.
I fluctuate with that sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, well, if the food good, then the food good. But sometimes I'm like, well, if the person's spotty and I know that they cut corners, I know they don't do things by the book, I know that then it's like, well, even if the food good, I don't want it.
It's kind of like when they say right message, wrong messenger.
Yeah, and I fluctuate between that sometime, and now I think I'm more to the place where the moment if I have to spend too much time deciphering the messenger, then I just throw the message out altogether. I'm like, and if the message is true, then I'll get it from a more
somewhere else.
righteous messenger.
That's good. I think something that I wanted to say, based off of what Ivory said, she said, what's the purpose of the information? I think a part 2 to that question is, what is the purpose of this person sharing this information?
Yes,
Like,
correct.
what's their purpose in this? Or like, are they trying to sell you a product? Are they trying to keep you on their page and confused so that you have to keep coming back to them? Like, what is their purpose in sharing? What is do they have a bias? Like, things like that, having to identify, where they're getting this information from. Like, what studies have they conducted? Is this all personal experience? Like, is this personal experience skewed because they have hurt? Or is this a healed individual you're talking to? Those are questions you got to ask, because not everybody who's giving bad advice is manipulating you. Some people just got bad advice.
Right.
Because they ain't healed.
Discernment decides if you're being manipulated or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like that. Some people are giving advice from a place that's unhealed. So it's not going to be good.
Holy. So
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, when you said that, Denise, it made me think another big part of my discernment, and it's a later on discernment, probably something the last decade. God is love. Like, I'm trying to be more like him. If whatever you're talking about, like, there's no love in it,
right.
there's no compassion, there's no understanding about the complexities of humanity.
Right.
I have
The
no
complexities.
desire.
So let
I
me
have
take this
no
a
desire.
step further, Ivory, because there's tens of thousands of people who do and say and supposedly act in the name of God, in the name of religion,
And there's no
Christianity,
love. There's no,
ain't
and I have
love
no
in it.
desire to listen. I
No
just don't.
desire. Stop paying attention to what the labels that people put on stuff and just I'm
Listen
with
to
you.
what they actually saying. Yeah,
Where's the love
I
in
don't
this?
have time for that.
Where's the love in this? Because outside of the where I see the love, I don't care about your title and what umbrella that you putting it under. Don't make a difference. Ain't no love in it.
I have another question, and I'm going to start with you, Nikki. Has there been a time where you discerned something was off, something was not right, and you asked your discernment a follow-up question? Like, what's going on with this? And did you get an answer? Or was it just like, no, this isn't right, and you just stuck to that? Like, do you ever kind of ask like a follow-up question for your discernment to give you a little more information or leadway? Are you just like, as soon as I get the download, I'm rolling with it and that's the final?
I mean, once the information comes to me, I can't undo it, right? So for me, once I get it, I can't unsee it, I can't unlearn it, I can't unfeel it, I can't put it back. So that then becomes the interpersonal conflict that I will have if I choose to disregard what I know to be true based on what my intuition has told me, what listening to my intuition has proven to me, and how discernment protects me. So I'm sure that in my interpersonal conversation, which is an all-day dialogue, I'm sure I ask myself over and over, bitch, why, bitch? I'm sure I ask myself repeatedly. And I think that that's to be able to continue identifying the areas that have to be front and fucking center, because it's really easy for certain things to manipulate ourselves into feeling what we want, right? So I think my greatest lesson to myself has been over the last, 10 years of being single, but definitely the last 7 since I lost my dad, is that rejection is redirection, and rejection doesn't just have to be a bad thing. It's just I didn't get what I wanted. It didn't go the way I was hoping for. I didn't get the answer I was looking for. whatever, the scale wasn't as low as I hoped it would be, right? The food didn't taste the way I wanted it to be. It doesn't have to be so significant, but it's knowing that if I just literally do whatever this energy space is that says this is what I'm supposed to be doing, it works out.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a nonstop dialogue, honestly, and I think that it has served me well in the places that I needed to be served well. And so for that, I don't question it. I don't challenge it. I don't need to second guess it. I don't need to identify triggers and try. Like I'm good in all them spaces. If it tells me this, that's what we do. That's what we do.
I will say in some cases, I feel like when I've had discernment, it's like my whatever discernment ain't got time to be doing a whole bunch of explaining. It's just like, hey, do this. Boom, right? But then there are other times where there is a little bit of marination. And it's just like, hey, this is going on. And then it's like, oh, really? And now we're having a conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is? I'm open. I'm not like, no, it's not like that, is it? I'm just like, oh, yeah? And then there's more information revealed.
Mm-hmm.
And more information revealed. And I think there is I don't know, the more you trust the discernment, the more of a relationship you have with it develops more. But yes, I agree.
So, Denise, have you had an experience, because this has happened to me before, where your experience and your discernment are at odds?
For sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Yeah.
I was just thinking, I remember I had this situation where my discernment told me something about one of my friend's friends.
Mm.
And my experience told me, don't you dare share that.
Yeah.
But I don't believe we get discernment, like, for what? Like, there's no reason for me to get that if she didn't need to know it.
That part.
But my experience tells me it's never good to
sometimes discernment will tell you to shut up, though.
No, but I'm saying the discernment, wasn't telling me to shut up. The discernment was showing me something she needed to know.
But the experience was like, girl, don't say nothing because you know what's going to blow up in your face.
But my experience told me, girl, don't. That can go so many ways.
Yep.
I just, it took me days because I was like, I know clearly my discernment showed me this, and it's no reason for me to see it because they ain't my friend.
Right.
Yeah.
I seen it for you, but I know how that goes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so my experience and my discernment was like
fighting. And I think that, and I guess that's one thing I want to ask for the people who are listening right now. How do you manage that? How do you manage the internal dialogue? How do you manage the conflicting from the experience and what your discernment is telling you? Like, how do you manage those things?
Now, for me, at the end of the day, I'm like what Nikki kind of said in a way earlier. It's like, I'm going to have to trust that it's all going to work out the way it's supposed to work out if it came to me. Yep. So the discernment is always going to win, right? And I realize at this grown old age, it doesn't mean there's no blowback for it. It doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect. It just means it's going to work out the way it's supposed to work out. Like, I'm going to trust and do what the discernment is telling me to do. No matter what the fallout is, I'm going to do it. I'm too old to be like trying to take shortcuts through life. Like, denying your discernment is a shortcut for you trying to be comfortable. And that's just, I'm too old for that.
Mercy. I'm getting talked to all night. Y'all just been carrying on.
I want to add to what Ivory said. I always love when we agree on certain shit. I love that part. Because I think part of it too is making sure that your compass is clean, right? You got to clean that motherfucker off, right? And if I think that's part of the letting go process. I think that's part of the trusting process. That's part of it is I don't question. I trust that discernment. I'm not gonna obsess over whether yes, no. I'm not doing that. I don't know if that's discernment. That's me trying to take control, and you can't do that with discernment. Discernment controls you, controls the feeling, controls the direction, or it's trying to. It's just whether you listen or not. So obsessing over or thinking about or thinking too much about it, I think for me, ruins that experience of discernment, right? Because discernment is we fucking jumping in. We're just gonna go for it. And so back to trusting that when it continues to provide what it needed to provide, whether you liked it or not is irrelevant. When it continued to provide what you needed to provide, shit, I don't what I'm gonna question. I do not question when shit doesn't go my way anymore. My ability to let disappointments roll off is a motherfucker. And I say that, right? But you see me get very passionate about a lot of things. So to the same, point, I always got some for you. But when shit doesn't go my way, I'm not gonna argue. I'm not gonna fuss. I might cry a little bit if it involves my kids and I'm pissed off because shit don't go in their way. It will eventually, and I know this. This is all part of what was instilled into me, right? Growing up with parents in recovery and letting go, and you know what I'm saying? Like giving it away and not trying to take it back. Trusting in, right? So this is where higher power is supposed to come in. This is where that faith and relationship is supposed to come in. And I'm a little void of that, right? But discernment is one of those things where you don't. The more time you spend questioning it, the longer it's going to take you to get there. And I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to fucking get there because time is ticking. At this old age, like you said, at this old age, I ain't got time to be questioning it. It don't never fail me. I fail me, but it don't never fail me. So if I just keep going with it, then it's a fucking win-win situation. And if it doesn't go my way, then that was how it was supposed to be. And whatever's supposed to be will be. If I just keep my fucking compass cleaned up, shined off, and away from metal objects.
Oh, okay. Let's go there. That was good. What are things, I guess we kind of got into this, but if there's something you could think about, or what are things that can hinder your discernment? What are things that can throw your compass off?
Everything. Isn't that kind of the purpose of the conversations that revolve around religion, removing those things, right? That can change the filter. So even if you don't have context involved, right? I think every single thing that we look at, that we hear, that we touch, everything that affects our five senses affects our intuition and our discernment. Everything.
I really think it's mostly you, the individual. Like I said, first of all, not trusting yourself. Usually the biggest interference to connecting with discernment is not trusting yourself, not trusting what you're hearing. And the things that interrupt your hearing usually comes with, again, your own vices, your own traumas, your own triggers, those things that have already clouded up your mind and your judgment. And when you got a lot of triggers, when you have emotional issues that you haven't dealt with, when you got temper and attitude issue, all of these things affect your emotional state, and it makes it hard for you to either hear or understand or trust that which you are hearing. A sober mind makes it much clearer to hear.
And I will go back to it, and I know we talked about it for a second, but I would say for me personally, pride. pride and ego, definitely. And I would say this, sometimes it didn't even make it hard for me to hear, but what I twisted the information I heard into because of my own pride, ego, because of my own judgments,
Yeah, but
whatever it
that makes it
is.
hard to hear, though, Ivory.
No, I'm saying I can remember clearly hearing something. My response to hearing was ew. Like, oh, glad I felt that. Glad I know that. Glad I know to stay away from you. Glad like it wasn't. There was another step that some maturity would have completed my discernment. Which I mean, I feel like I'm in that process
That's
now.
good. Yeah.
But when I was younger, I was still hearing, but I can't say I love what I was doing with what I was hearing.
When you have unsound judgment, then it makes it hard for you to trust discernment, because you yourself have a tendency, because discernment still comes in your voice. It just ain't coming from you directly. But when you have insecurities, jealousies, bad communication issues, all these things create destructive communication. So oftentimes when you carry these bad traits around, you have destructive traits within yourself that often don't end well with the people that you are in relationship with. And whenever you have that, then when discernment comes around, it's hard for you to trust yourself, because you have a tendency of saying the wrong thing at the wrong time and doing, blowing stuff up.
I know what you're saying. I'm gonna give an example. When I was younger, discernment might tell me a person might walk in a room and I will feel an energy or maybe something they said or something, and discernment might say they're about to try to tear you down or make you feel bad. And normally I'm right? A more immature version of myself would say, I'm exiting stage left, right? Thank you for the message. Let me get away from them.
Or you
A more
automatically get defensive and the person ain't said a word to you.
not yet, right? But I'm
Right.
saying I'm talking about real discernment. Real discernment don't lie. It's coming. I'm not talking about you being in your feelings.
Yeah,
I'm saying
I know what you're
real
saying.
discernment. It's not lying to you.
I'm saying if you haven't worked on yourself, you proactively will disrupt the situation. Discernment, you might see something and it may cause you to come out of your character before something even happens.
Right, or just move away from a situation.
And that wasn't the mature.
That's not the design of discernment, is what I'm saying. And so maturity is say, oh man, and this is the second part, right? What kind of hurt are they going through to always be comparing themselves to somebody? What kind of what can I do to uplift them? What can I do to that's like a second part of discernment that I think is the maturity to act in a way that helps people.
I agree, but that's why I'm talking about the importance of making sure that you're doing that self work ahead of time, so that you don't self sabotage.
Yeah.
With
and my attitude was one of apathy, not even of nothing else. Just I don't got time for the foolishness. Thank you, discernment, because I don't got time.
Right. But a mature mind is like, okay.
Yeah, no, that's not maturity.
God, what do you want to get out of?
Right.
You told me this. What
for me, you the one told me. So you didn't tell me
to get something from it, or you want me to help them get something from it, or somewhere in between. Like, okay, what is it? Now, one thing you asked, this was 10 points ago. I never got to touch on it, but it sparked a thought in me. You asked Denise, you asked Nikki something. It was like 2 questions ago, but we went about 10 points after that. But I keep saying that discernment is something that operates outside of your 5 senses. But when you ask the question, then it made me think in certain situations, discernment tells me to activate or heighten my senses. Like there's sometimes discernment be like, hey, pay attention.
Pay
and then
attention.
all of a sudden I get, where I might have been blasé or whatever. Now my ears are opened up, my eyes are paying attention. Like my discernment told my 5 senses to wake up and pay attention. So that was interesting.
Yeah. There was something that was said I wanted to get into. You mentioned like discernment and communication, and how if you are a bad communicator in certain aspects, that you will be like having bad communication with your own discernment, essentially.
You just said something. Let me say, and that this is, I'm gonna give you an example why discernment is so important. I'm a free thinker. I love arguing with people, debating with people for a living. I could do it all day, any day, every day. There are certain times I get engaged with a conversation, and discernment will tell me this ain't the time for that. This is something internal. This is a heart issue. This is time for you to listen. This ain't time for you to respond. They need to be heard. They need to feel heard. They need to feel something else from you other than, they don't need your head right now. They need your heart. And this happens oftentimes, but that's discernment. Because if it was just me, then I'm just, well, I don't think this, no. But discernment to tell you when to have what type of conversations in certain moments.
You ain't lying. There's been so many times where I feel like I've been told, like, not right now. You can do it, but don't do it right now. And I didn't listen. And let me tell you, those conversations did not go well. I am a frequent not listener to my discernment, and to a point where sometimes I do it just to see if I'm actually right. I'll do it wrong just to see, like, I was right, wasn't I? Because I was like, how am I going to determine if I was really right? Because if I fix this right now, how am I going to really know? And sometimes that's weird, but I will play those kind of games with my own discernment where I'm like, yeah, that feeling was right. That feeling was right. That feeling was right. You should have listened. You should take it as a warning that you should have listened. But I just really like the way that all of you have described it, because there's so many different ways to approach discernment, how to use it, and where we think it's from. And I think a little bit of what everybody said is true. And it's such a necessary thing. It can save you a lot of time, a lot of heartache. It could also help you build relationships, like the story
100%.
that Ivory mentioned, where it's like, okay, I could take this route with this situation, or I can understand that someone needs me in this capacity right now. And I'm going to remove my ego and my pride, because I literally was just talking to y'all about this before we got on the call, but we going to keep it cute. But I do feel like there is a situation, and Ivory was not on this part of the call, not. That this is beyond my ego and beyond my feelings, beyond my pride. And this is like a much deeper thing. And there's a reason why I've been placed in the position that I'm in. And it may be to just silently kind of, there's different ways we can work, right? Because y'all know I'm gonna get spiritual, right? There's like, the scripture, we fight not against flesh and blood, but against, what is it? Principalities, which is like spirits, right? And so there's different ways. Sometimes I feel like our discernment is saying, maybe we do need to say something. Maybe we don't need to say something. Sometimes our discernment may be saying it's time to get down and pray. Sometimes our discernment is saying, there's ways to approach it, because not every action, right, needs to be a action in the physical. Maybe this action that needs to be taken is in a spiritual. Maybe the action that needs to be taken is an emotional one. Maybe we don't
Yes.
know unless we're truly listening and removing those things that can get in the way of us really seeing each other.
Yeah.
Because I think what discernment allows for us to do is to really, truly see one another, not, the junk, the stuff, and even that's part of it, but to really just say, okay, I'm seeing this other human being, whether that's good or bad, whether
It's
this
about
person
the
is good or
love.
bad,
It's still about love.
Yeah.
Discernment is so important. Golly, discernment is so important because
Oof.
it gives you can have all of the right tools, all of the tools that you need. But if you don't know what tool to use for what situation, and you don't know when to use that tool in what season, you got a whole bunch of tools, and you can cause you can have all of the right tools and still cause a bunch of destruction and chaos.
Oof.
And that's what you can have. You can have love, you can be giving, you can be caring, you can be patient, you can be wise. You have all of these tools, but if you don't have the discernment to know when to use what, you can be giving when you're supposed to withhold. You can be
Withholding when you're supposed to be giving. All the
right.
stuff.
All of these things you don't know when to do. It was godly. It was.
I'm
It was
gonna
one
testify a little bit. Something I have really been working on is slowing down my own communication
Oh, that's
so
good.
I can discern in the midst of a conversation. Because what I realized is I was so going, because I pride myself on being sharp and being, I don't need a lot of time to think to respond to things and all of this. So yeah, but I was like, I wasn't slowing down enough to even give myself time to discern in the midst of a conversation. So it's two things that I've been doing is taking longer to respond, because it gives me time to sometime ask God, what should I say, or should I be saying this, or search myself. The other thing is I've been doing correct breathing during conversations. Because sometimes your brain doesn't even have enough oxygen to respond well, especially if you're triggered. So if I feel anything, it don't even have to be a deep or like big conflict, but sometimes just in the midst of a good debate, like you're not even breathing the same anymore. You all amped up. And you haven't even given your brain enough oxygen to really think through what's happening, really think about this other person, what they might need out of this interaction. So that's what I've been practicing lately is not just what do I want to get out of this interaction, what does this person need out of this interaction? Can I use some discernment in the midst of this interaction to really search myself to make it a better interaction? So that's just something I've been practicing.
That is so good. Those are some tools, y'all. Those are some tools. If y'all just tuned in to Free Thinkers, we are talking about discernment. And if you just tuned in, what Ivory was saying is she has been slowing down in her conversations to allow for her discernment to step in and to show up and for her to search herself before responding. And that is so good because I be responding, y'all. Soon as, no, I did what, I got something to say. And it's not necessary all the time. And it's probably actually not necessary most times. And I think that was so good to say, I just slow down and I search myself. Like, what am I about to say? What do I want to say? What am I actually trying to communicate? What is this person actually trying to communicate with me? Right. Then I respond to that, because not all the time when people are saying something, what they're saying is what they mean. Sometimes they're saying one thing, but what they mean is something completely different. And I like the taking a beat to breathe. Ivory just mentioned that before. Within conversations, in the middle of a conversation, she might just like check in with her breathing because of the how the oxygen is hitting her. Hey, because you need to breathe. You can't think properly if you're not breathing properly. And even if you're like talking and you're like talking in your chest and you're just and like that can kind of create
Right.
like that's the same energy of anxiety versus
Right.
like a deep breath into your
That calm
diaphragm.
energy.
You recapture the pace of the conversation. You redefine the pace of the conversation. That's the Obama approach. Obama take his time. He said, "I'm taking my time. Get these words out."
He is
slow."
always gonna take his time.
I'll
That
give
is
you
so
another
good.
example of discernment. This I probably told this story before, but I had a friend of mine. He got down on hard times. He had a whole bunch of life situations, personal situations. He ended up living with me for a few months. Time came, I gave him some money to get a hotel, and I'm like, all right, you gotta figure this out, get this and this and that. And it got rough again. He called me, he's like, man, I'm this and this and that. I'm on the bus stop right now. I ain't got nowhere to go. Everything in me wanted to just go pick him up right now. All right, come back with me. Discernment told me he got to sit in this for a second. I'm upset to this point, with myself, even though like everything in me wanted to go get him.
Mm-hmm.
I prayed for him and I let him sleep on that bus corner. It hurt me with all of my heart. Do you know this man from that point? He tells me even to this day, like me being out there, it stuck with him to the point he's never lacked for anything a day of his life since then. He got more money than me. He manages his money better than me. He give me money tips. He is good now. But he had to sit in it for that moment to be a reminder, I'm never going back to that spot again.
Have y'all had that conversation?
Oh yeah, that's one of he tells me this all the time. And he always thanks me for like what I did for him even up until that point. But he always like, yeah, man, that point, like I don't tell him all of this part of it, but he's like, yeah, me being on, man, he was like, me being on that bus stop that night, man, that just sleeping out on the street, that always reminds me I'm never going back to that point. And discernment,
I'm curious if he knows that. And I'm curious if he knows like how much it hurt you to have to be like, no.
I don't think so. And it really hurt me.
And he sounds like he didn't take it personal, but I think that would be important to share with him.
We are closer now than we were then.
Yeah.
And he thanks me all the time, and not just thank you in words. He does a lot for me now, saying how much he appreciates me. So that let me know it wasn't nothing personal, but the whole experience, he knew that the whole process was a learning experience. But for me, I wanted to go pick him up right then and there.
Yeah.
But discernment told me he got to feel it. He got to feel it. And had he never felt it, he wouldn't be in the spot where he is right now.
Mm-hmm. And for those out there right now, got a family member asking them for money, because I know somebody watching got a family member asking them for money right now, and they know they ain't got it to be given, or maybe they do have it to give, but listen, you gotta let people go through their own storm. Sometimes we want to save people, and in fact, we're hindering them. We're not saving them.
You gotta
Had Q,
you gotta use discernment.
Had Q win, saved his homeboy would probably be right now calling the middle of freethinkers, asking for something.
Still dependent, yeah.
But that whatever it was, it did what it needed to do. And sometimes love is saying no.
And that's why I said that a lot of times it's objective, or because it went against everything that I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean,
So,
oh, that's hard. That's a wrap. This is such a good
yeah.
conversation, y'all. There's so many quotables that I have that I think I'm gonna slap on a little meme and throw it on the internet and slap free thinkers on there. Um, this was such good information and it's always right on time. This is what I got to know about free thinkers. This my church, y'all. Y'all know I don't be in the house of the Claude. This is my house of the Claude. Either I go on the internet to go to Darius Daniels church, church on internet, or I'm in Freethinkers. This is where I power up. This is where I get my information. You know, they said that the church, the body of Christ is church. It's not being in a actual church. It's being amongst the people. It's like, did Jesus even go to church for real? What? He just running around with the homies and stuff.
Jesus
But
did go to church.
then he go to church, he got mad in the synagogue, started throwing tables and stuff. That's the only part I remember him ever going, but whatever.
No, when they couldn't find him, they was looking for Jesus. Like when he was.
Oh, when he was young, when he was grown man, he was in them streets with the disciples,
He was
and
in the
he was
street.
learning about life.
He
was learning about life by being out and about. But this was so good. Does anybody have any closing?
I'll be in the church and be in the streets because that's what Jesus did.
Right. Anybody have any closing words that they want to share on discernment?
Keep your compass shiny and clean.
Yeah.
Keep your compass shiny and clean.
I got it all out.
Oh, I got a free thinkers test. I think we need to test our discernment this week. And when I say by test, I mean even if you feel uncomfortable because you're like, I don't want to do this, then I'd rather do something else. But your discernment's like, no, you need to do it. I think we should lean into our discernment this week. Ivory, what were you gonna say?
Nope, I was gonna say I think I got it all out too. Great conversation.
Good combo.
I was gonna say that what you just said, Denise, it does get that's where it does get dicey when your discernment tells you or compels you to do something that's out of your nature to do.
Yeah.
Like even me being an introvert, and then if my discernment tells me to do some extrovert type stuff, like no.
Yeah. Walk up on a stranger and tell them something that you're like, I feel
Yes,
like crazy
no,
for doing this.
yeah,
I don't want to
those
do
are
it.
the hardest things for me. That's the hard stuff for me. That's the hard stuff for me. Yes, correct.
Woo! But think about all the strangers that walked up on you and gave you a good word when you needed it, and you're like, wait, how? And you're just like, but I really, really needed this. I'm glad this person just came up to me and just said this thing that I needed to hear, right?
Well, oh my God. All right, I'm gonna stop. Okay. One of the things, discernment oftentimes, and this is something that maybe I've been getting more in the last 18 months. And y'all sometimes discernment will tell you to compliment someone on something. And you don't know how bad they need that compliment or that encouragement, and a certain thing that you say that you were compelled to say, they might have been at their last end and they was about to stop. And you telling them how good they cook or how good that last song sounded and how well you're doing. You don't know that can be the fuel that keep them going to their next step.
Facts.
All right, I'm about to mute. I'm about to mute myself now.
Okay, y'all, we did it. This was really great. I love this. This is so good. Listen, if you're out there and you enjoyed anything you heard today, share this with somebody else. If there's somebody you think that may need a little bit of help with discernment, if there's anybody you think who just enjoy this conversation, if there's somebody you know that's looking for a church home but doesn't like going to a typical church, free thinkers. And we don't even ask
like, I'm not nobody. I'm not nobody.
Look at me. Look at
I didn't say that. I didn't say nothing. I'm on mute.
I really stood up there and said that anybody you know looking for a church home. But yeah, y'all, please share the word. This is very good information. If nothing else, I got a lot to take from this because y'all know Y'all know what I told y'all when I got on this phone. And I needed this information. This is going to be very helpful, and I cannot wait to test this out. Next week is in person. We're going to give y'all that information as soon as we get it. I wish I could be there. For those who cannot be in person, we're gonna stream, not the live stream, but we're gonna do like a retro episode, so that'll be up, so you'll still have some interaction even in our absence. But if you're in the Austin area, pull up, y'all.
Pull up on us next Tuesday, the last Tuesday.
All right,
Not
last
Tuesday.
thing.
Tell
So
them
now
for
I'm on one. Just compliments, appreciation, encouragement. Focus on those.
Compliments, appreciation, encouragement.
Works for me.
When you have opportunities to give someone compliments, encouragement, show appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, maybe that can be our homework for this week. Go out our way to compliment, appreciate, and encourage. Yes, that's our homework. Okay. Bye, free thinkers.